What we did learn from this press conference is something new to report, which is that, in fact, we'd previously believed, as the Baltimore Police Department had believed, that there were 3 stops made with Freddie Gray in the back of that police van. In fact, there were 4 stops that were made before he arrived at the Western District. Then that's when they realized he was in trauma and then transported to the shock trauma unit where he died several days later.
Yes, and they have turned over the investigation now to the state's attorney general. It will ultimately be her decision whether or not to press charges against the 6 suspended officers. Again, Commissioner Anthony Bates saying that they have exhausted all the leads, but this investigation is far from over. And we have somebody on the phone now. Who is that?
We have Maryland State Delegate Keith Haynes on the phone with us. Sir, have you been listening to this press conference?
Yes, I have.
What is your take on what you heard just now?
Well, first of all, let me say that I think you're absolutely correct in stating that this investigation is far from over. This is an ongoing investigation, and it will be as if new information or evidence turns up that the police department can investigate. At this point, though, as far as process is concerned, that report has been turned over to the state's attorney for Baltimore City, and the state's attorney will then decide when she will begin to review the report and probably in her own course do her own investigation. So information as it relates to details of what transpired in Mr. Gray's case, any additional information such as the examiner's report or autopsy or medical examiner's final report, that stuff is not going to be forthcoming, I understand, for some time. So we're far from over as far as getting finality as far as facts are concerned and answers in this case. I would argue that as it has been turned over to the state's attorney's office, that we are just beginning, because I just want to also emphasize that there are 3 additional concurrent investigations that are also taking place as well.
Well, how hard will it be to keep the calm without more answers? As you pointed out, there's a lot of unanswered questions still out there. The investigation is still ongoing. It's been turned over to the state attorney general's office, but there's not a lot of answers, and that's what the community has been desperate for weeks.
Well, I think that therein lies a grave concern among community leaders, elected officials such as myself, and the city as well. You know, the public has been using tomorrow, which is May 1st, as a benchmark as to when they would get specific answers and details as relates to this case and as relates to why Mr. Gray was initially stopped and what happened to him prior to him ending up in shock trauma here in Maryland and ultimately passing away in the hospital. And that date was given to the public. It was an expectation from the public now that they're going to have all their answers questions answered, and more importantly, that the action that they are anticipating will take place on tomorrow, whether that would have been an indictment, whether it would have been an arrest, whether it would have been some other action, but that's not the process. And I think it is going to be an area which on tomorrow, if not today, beginning today, that we have to remain concerned about, because at this point, that has been the benchmark for the last week or so that the public has expected to have met.
Mr. Haynes, let me ask you about this leaked report in the Washington Post that Mr. Freddie Gray may have intentionally injured himself whilst in that police van. The person in that report says that he did not see Mr. Freddie Gray. He only heard sounds of banging. What do you make of that?
Well, I think I think that without camera surveillance inside that van, all that we're going to have to, as far as evidence is going to be eyewitness account or, in this case, found witness account of what an individual heard. And I think that's problematic. And I think what we really have to wait and see, is whether or not the medical examiner's report will bear out the evidence or the statement of the other individual who was inside the van. And I don't think we have that examination, medical examiner's report at this time. I mean, what I mean by that is, what is that going to bear out? Were there concussions that are consistent with the person who is banging him or herself up against the side of a van? Are there other injuries in that report that will be consistent with that statement? And I think that's going to be crucial as far as credibility.
Are you still there, sir?
Yes.
The other question, sir, that I have is, when it comes to this case, you've spoken to people in the community. You talk about eyewitness testimony being important in deciding exactly what happened. Now, in that press conference we just heard, the police simply said that Mr. Gray ran. They approached him and he ran. There was no indication as to exactly why police officers approached him. There was no indication as to why they gave chase to Mr. Freddie Gray. Have you heard from the members of the community who may have witnessed this, what they are saying happened?
Are you still there, sir?
Yes.
Sorry, did you hear my question?
Yes.
Sorry.
And based on that, I think there is the problem. I don't think that.
We're losing you, sir.
Can you repeat the question again? I thought I understood it correctly.
Yep. No, sorry. You maybe we didn't hear your response, so maybe you want to just take it from the top.
Yes. Let me just say briefly that I think that is a problem. We don't know at this point why Mr. Gray was stopped initially. I have not heard from members of the community that the police even asked him to stop. Okay, and so therein lies the initial question from the public and the community. Why was he initially stopped? We know what happened ultimately, that he was injured and ultimately died. People want to know, why was he initially stopped? And from what I am hearing in the community is that no one heard the police tell Mr. Gray to stop. Okay? What I'm hearing and what the video, what I'm hearing, what people are telling me in the community, that this is a gentleman, for whatever reason, began to run, and we know what happened from there, according to the video. And therein lies the question, because so many people in the community, so many people in this state are asking the question, or saying to themselves, it could be me, it could be anyone that I know, that for any reason, if we just start to run in the presence of the police, this could happen to us. And that's the question the public is really begging an answer for.
All right. Maryland State Delegate Keith Haynes, thanks so much. And we are just wrapping up. The Baltimore police have turned over their investigation to the state attorney general. The only new information that really came out of that is that there were 4 stops made with Freddie Gray on the way to the police station. We have not learned why he was stopped and what he was charged with and when that spinal cord injury actually happened.